So for those of you who are not familiar with TEKO since before, we are the Swedish Textile and Fashion Industries Association, and we represent the industry both nationally and internationally. We have a few focus areas, which is, of course, as a business organization, service and advice to our member companies, the employers, skill supply for the textile industry, sustainability and research and innovation. And I work then with sustainability and research and innovation and policy, of course. We cooperate with the Swedish and European industry associations, and not the least in this important work. And I would say that the Swedish textile industry covers a very large variety of textile products, from technical textiles to fashion and home interior textiles. So we have quite a few products to deal with here. As Björn mentioned in the beginning of this section, was that we have come to the point of the third study from JRC, from the EU Commission, on apparel, the Delegated Act for Apparel. So we are right in the middle of the work, actually. And I was thinking I would give you some perspectives from the industry on this third study. But to start with, the Delegated Act for Apparel is covering all the companies that manufacture, import or sell clothing that is covered by the eco-design legislation. So all apparel with a few exceptions, and that is, for example, clothing that falls under the Personal Protective Equipment Regulation, the PPE regulation, or the Medical Devices Regulation. And probably also products that will be related to defense or national security. TEKO is a member of Euratex, which is the European Apparel and Textile Confederation. And as Björn previously spoke about, they have a place in the Eco-Design Forum, and the forum that will work together with the Commission to develop the eco-design requirements. In this work, we at TEKO, we cooperate with our member companies to give a Swedish standpoint on the studies that are coming out. And I would say that most of our member companies are small and medium-sized companies, which reflects the industry in the textile industry in Europe very well. About plus 95% of all companies in Europe's textile companies are small and medium size. So the big giants, the retail giants like H&M and so, they are not part of TEKO, even though we have a close cooperation in many issues. They're still retailers, and they stand out in the European textile industry. So we have about 400 members, most of textile companies in Sweden. In this third milestone, the third study on apparel from the JRC, from the EU Commission, there are, in brief, 4 design options proposed. And those options, they form paths in different combinations. And there's also a section about substances of concern. And I'm thinking we'll go through very quickly those proposals and what's important to know from the industry part. The scope in the previous 2 studies that we have been consulted on have been quite wide from the beginning. Also footwear, technical textiles, and home and interior textiles were included. Now it's narrowed down to apparel, and then divided into main categories. And those main product categories, they are then harmonized with the PEF-CR, which is also a very important part of the EU legislation. As said, there were 4 design options proposed to be presented in the digital product passport for apparel. And that is then number 1, robustness, a measurement of longer life of a product. Number 2, recyclability, how easy it is to recycle a product. Number 3, recycled content. And number 4 is about the environmental or carbon footprint from manufacturing. So if we start with a quick overview on the robustness, the measurement that is proposed to measure a product's lifetime. We have quite a few comments already. The consultation is open all through March, so we are in the middle of the work with this. But some important comments from the companies, from the industry, is that this robustness measurement, it doesn't really reflect the estimated lifetime of a product, and especially because it needs differentiation, a huge differentiation, because there are so many fiber types and so many mixes, combinations of fiber types in textiles, and also so many different usages for textile products. So it cannot really be that general that the proposal gives away at this stage. We also see that it's driving unproportional testing costs, especially then for the small, medium-sized companies. There's a lot of testing of physical durability, physical parameters involved in this proposal. The JRC is trying to find a fiber-neutral criteria, but it tends to favor fossil-based textile materials as it is right now. And we have received several detailed comments on the proposal's shortcomings when it comes to testing methods and standards. And also something very important is that the consumer criteria like comfort and sort of timeless design, they're not included in this proposal. So they're not being a parameter that's supposed to be reported. A short glimpse of the robustness score that is supposed to be reported then. So you get points for being as good as possible in those physical testing, and you test before and after washing the garment, and then you get the score of how good you perform on these testings. So just to give you a short glimpse of the ideas from the JRC. The second design option is recyclability, how easy it is to recycle a product, a garment then. And the recyclability is based here in JRC's proposal primarily on the choice of material. But we say that the design for recyclability is equally important. For example, if you design like a module design where you can actually separate and put together again a garment, that is not taken in consideration in the JRC's proposal. And also this section tends to favor industrial recyclability and then fossil materials again, while bio-based or renewable materials are not sufficiently considered. We think that JRC needs to give priority to reuse before recycling. We only speak about recycling here, but the reuse is higher up in the EU waste ladder, so it needs to be considered, even though we understand it's difficult to measure, but it needs to be considered if you're speaking about a sustainable and circular product. Very, very important, it needs to be technology neutral and future-proof. There's so many good innovations coming up now, so we cannot risk to lock ourselves into the technologies that are already on the market. And also important is that there is a conflict between robustness and recyclability, the first design option, if you design for longer life or if you design for a product to be recycled easily. So it's definitely a conflict in between. And to give you a short glimpse of the score that's proposed, also that you get more and more points for leaving out things that can actually be hard to recycle. So not a perfect score, but it's a start. The third design option is about the recycled content in a garment. And I must say, firstly, we are definitely welcoming the new definition of recycled content. It's including post-industrial and pre-consumer recycled material now. It was only post-consumer before, so now it's reflecting the reality and the possibilities in the industry much, much better. There is a conflict between recycled content and performance or comfort, long lifetime of products. If you are designing with recycled content we have available on the market today, it could be that especially more technical products can actually lose performance and therefore also have a shorter lifetime. So this needs to be considered. Clarification of certification. It's also necessary. The same thing here, technology neutral and future-proof, not locking ourselves into what we have today when there's so many new promising emerging innovations coming up. And the JRC estimated costs and environmental impacts needs to be reviewed. They don't seem to reflect reality. It's a very important comment for us, and especially then considering the small and medium-sized companies and their possibilities to actually do the to interact with recycled content. The last design option, number 4, is about environmental and carbon footprint. And some early comments from the industries that this needs to be clarified, the scope of the product LCA and equal steps for fossil-based and bio-based materials, where bio-based are considered to be, you have to go down to the agriculture, the farming, while fossil-based does not have to go down to the source, actually. The cost of the LCA is also very, very important, especially for the SMEs. We need flexibility there because it depends on what level you're required to do an LCA, if it's product batch or product group, etc. Also, clarity is needed on methodologies. And we've proposed a stepwise implementation and support to SMEs during this implementation. The paths, these are then the combinations of design options, the 4 design options. We would like to say, first of all, that the chosen design options will not give a full picture of product sustainability. It's just a start. Most important is still to reduce fast fashion business models and the overconsumption of clothes, especially cheap clothes. And also, once again, the parameters reflecting reuse, which is such an important step in the circular models, it's still missing. And also, we believe it's really important that the information given is comparable and understandable for the consumers to really help to make a good choice. A short picture, a quick picture of these parts, then they're supposed to be reported in the digital product passport. The first and the second proposal of part, they are covering all design options, while the third part is covering just recyclability and recycled material. So to end with, there is a section about chemicals, substances of concern. And this is a proposal for information requirement in the digital product passport for clothing. Proposed are 4 tracks. Track A is the substances of very high concern, the candidate list. Track B, classified according to hazard. Track C is the POPs, Stockholm Convention. And track D are substances that have a negative effect on recycling. And what we can say is that track A and B, AA and C, they are already in the legislation, so it makes sense. Track B, it's very or extremely difficult to track down hazard information with the global supply chains in the textile industry. And track D, substances that can have a negative effect on recycling. We don't know at this stage. We are so early on in the recycling industry of textiles, so it's really impossible to say. What we say is from the industry is that all chemical restrictions, they should be gathered in REACH in one place. We do not wish to see chemical restrictions scattered out in different legislation. We want them to be registered and collected in REACH instead. It will make it really, really difficult for the companies to follow if it's not in the REACH. So this will be, I think, a long discussion with JRC and their proposals on SOx. And the last picture from me, at TEKO, we always try to give some advice for preparations, even though we are just in the middle of the process and we do not know what's coming. We still have some advice for preparations. So I'm not going to read them through. It's just information that is how we work at TEKO. So I think I will stop there. And thank you very much for having us today.